All right, I kind of want to weigh in and throw my 2 cents in on an issue that has had the streets of my city buzzing for almost a week, not quite a week yet. And that is the shooting that took place downtown by the Bellagio fountain. I don't normally talk about stuff like this, but it kind of hits close to home because it was two YouTubers who had been going through a feud. And long story short, one of them was visiting Las Vegas, and the other one hunted him down and gunned him down on Livestream. So it hits close to home because I'm a career YouTuber and I live in Las Vegas, you know? So there's been a lot of opinions and misinformation and false facts thrown around from everybody to fellow YouTubers to the damn news has been reporting misinformation. But I'm not here to talk about what led up to it. Okay, it was a feud. Long story short, it started from an in-person altercation about a year and a half ago, back in 2023 on Fremont Street. And then it turned into this back and forth online feud. And there was even another in-person altercation where the shooter, who goes by Manny, was charged with, was it battery of the victim, whose name was Finney? And then it was just turned into this back and forth online thing where the Finney, the dude that got shot, pretty much dedicated his life to trolling this dude, you know? So long story short, then he just got so pissed, he got fed up. When he heard dude was visiting Vegas, he hunted him down and gunned him down on his live stream. So everybody always wants to hear opinions, you know, because the actual information and the facts are so hard to find. You got to dig really deep, you know. I didn't know either of these two people, but let me just go ahead and weigh in my 2 cents on the whole thing. They're both dead fucking wrong. I'm one of those people that I can't pick a side because I'm looking at both sides of this, and both of these people were acting like ridiculous little children. You know, I mean, the shooter needs to understand. See, he was an aspiring, you know, content creator, and he dumped all of his energy into being an internet personality and, you know, growing a fan base and this and that. And the other dude, pretty much for the most part, was building what little audience he had around, you know, reacting to other people's videos and then ultimately just trolling this dude. He even had a whole YouTube channel dedicated to trolling this dude, you know? And the assailant, Manny, needs to understand that if you want to be a career content creator, if you want to be an internet personality, you're going to have haters. That comes with the package. You are not going to be a successful content creator without having very fucked up in the head people do everything they can to try to rip you off your path. It's going to happen. You're not going to escape that. On the other hand, though, the other dude, you actually want to be one of those people that just gets attention by talking shit? You know, y'all both dead wrong, man. No pun intended. But that's going to happen. Matter of fact, you know what? Let me share with you something that I went through that 98, 99% of y'all don't know anything about. About 2 years ago or so, I came this close to a defamation lawsuit. And it was so interesting, so weird. So somewhere around late 2023, I started noticing that every time I would click my notifications on YouTube, I've since turned that off, but back then I had it turned on. But every time I would click it, I started noticing some lady tagging me in community posts that looked and sounded like schizophrenic psychobabble. You know, it made no sense. It's hard to describe. Have you ever met somebody or seen somebody on the internet who is like schizophrenic, and the shit they type out and the shit they say and the stuff they talk about is just psychobabble that like literally makes no sense at all, you know? Well, that's what this looked like. So I'm like, another one of those. Okay. So I just ignored it. And every damn time I would open up my notifications, this lady, it was filled with this lady tagging me in what looked like schizophrenic psychobabble. I couldn't understand any of it. Well, and she wasn't the only one doing it. I mean, that went on for so long that I just got sick of it and turned it off, so that now I don't get notified if you mention my YouTube channel. But anyway, so I just kind of forgot about it, didn't pay any attention to it. About 3 or 4 months later, somebody emailed and said that there's somebody making videos about me. And Leah, my wife, who runs the business, she's the one that deals with the emails, the clients, and all that stuff, came to me and told me this. And I said, just ignore it. We get that shit all the time, you know. There's always somebody competing for your attention, trying to get a reaction out of you, trying to get you to call them out in a video, doing anything they can to try to build their audience off the back of somebody who's more successful than them. Nothing new. I said, just ignore it. And she comes back in about 45 minutes later and she says, we're suing this lady. Whoa, what? Suing this lady? What are you talking about? So we go to this channel and this lady was making videos about me, telling everyone that I'm rolling up on her house and like stalking and harassing her and shit. You know, I've never seen this weird, unhinged bitch in my life. I have no clue who she is. I'm like, whoa, okay. And so we went and got a lawyer. And it was funny because this lady even mentioned several times that I can't hit her for defamation because she's not actually saying my name. She's describing me to a T and then saying things that rhyme with my name, you know. But the funny thing is she kind of told on herself just by saying that, because if you're telling the truth, I can't hit you with defamation. You can only hit somebody with defamation if they're telling lies about you, you know? So anyway, though, so, you know, legal team looked at it and said, no, we can absolutely hit this lady with defamation. I said, all right, cool. And y'all didn't know nothing about this. And so my legal team tracked her down, got her fucking address, her previous employers, her criminal history, her phone number, boom, you name it. And then within mere hours of us dropping the hammer on this bitch, she went through and deleted everything. Poof, it was all gone. I don't know if somebody tipped her off, or maybe if she just kind of realized that what she was saying and doing was fucking stupid or what. But anyway, here's the point that I'm making. I get it. You're going to deal with people fucking with you if you want to be an internet personality. It's gonna happen. But if somebody crosses boundaries, you handle it the legal way. That doesn't mean you hunt somebody down and gun them down. But then on the other hand, if you want to be one of those people who's fucking with people, dude, you don't know who you're fucking with. Like, you just don't. And I mean, that's not right anyways, to try to build your name on talking shit about other people and tearing other people down. You know, they were just both so completely wrong that I can't pick a side on that. You know, I really can't. I did donate to the family of the victim though, and their GoFundMe. I did that, you know, because at the end of the day, there was kids who lost their parents, and that sucks. You know, they have nothing to do with none of this. So, you know, there's kids now whose parents went on a trip to Las Vegas and are never coming back. And, you know, that's going to be detrimental to a family. But yeah, this man, it's not that serious, y'all. Both of them should have just ignored each other. I mean, I literally can't say one thing about one person that I can't say about the other. You know, the dude who, the victim, or the shooter, I'm sorry, Manny, the assailant, should have just ignored the dude. Just ignored it and said, nah, you ain't worth my time. You're not worth my attention. I'm not feeding you my energy. And you just focus on you. Do not feed those people any energy, and no weapons formed against you will prosper. Same thing on the other hand. I mean, it was like a personal thing, because there was some personal altercations. And from what this guy said, the victim that I've seen, because I've watched a lot of his videos since all this happened, he apparently was a fan of Manny, the shooter. And then, you know, had some kind of altercation where he pepper sprayed the victim's wife. The shooter did. And so he set out to expose these people for not being who they portray themselves to be on YouTube. You know, they portray themselves to be love, light, positivity, and this and that. And in reality, supposedly, according to him, they're bad people who do questionable things and this and that. Whether they are or they're not, doesn't matter. You should have just left it alone. You want to do a video exposing them? Okay. Do one video, expose them, and then leave it alone. Leave it alone. This dude would do hours-long live streams, 2, 3, 4 hour-long live streams, dogging this dude and his wife, and dissing everything that they do. Made a whole channel dedicated to nothing but trolling these people. Dude, no. That is like one of the most bitch moves that you can make as a content creator on the internet, is trying to bash somebody and tear somebody else down like that. It's just, I mean, that's pretty much my 2 cents. You know, my heart goes out to both of them, honestly, for just not being able to handle a situation very well. You know, they were both very interesting, creative people who, if they would have had their minds on the right track, they could have seriously gone places and done something, you know? And, but they just didn't know how to get their focus in the right place. And my heart goes out to both of them. The victim and his wife were shot, and now they're gone. And now the shooter, who, you know, his whole life revolved around his YouTube channel and his social media platforms, didn't have the biggest audience, you know, kind of had it. They both had small audiences, but, you know, that was his world. That was his life. Now he's going to be spending no less than life in prison without parole. That's probably minimum. The district attorney of Nevada said that they are going to seek the death penalty. They're going to explore whether or not that's an option. I don't know if it's going to go that far, because he doesn't really have a criminal history. But, you know, all that over what? Over some silly ass shit on the internet that both of you should have just ignored. Both of you should have ignored it. You should have just pulled your focus away. Finney, you should have just said, wow, that's who you are. Okay, I'm not fucking with you no more. On the other hand, Manny should have said, damn, wow, okay. Well, I'm not focusing on that. I'm not going to feed that my energy. I'm going to pull my focus away from this and ignore it. And if you ignore it and ignore it and ignore it and ignore it and ignore it, eventually it runs out of what it feeds off of, which is your reaction. And it may take a little bit sometimes, but you reacting to it and getting pissed off about it feeds it. That's what they want. That's what they want out of you. They want to get a reaction out of you. They want to piss you off, you know? And like I've said, hey, if somebody crosses a boundary like that, take legal action. If there's not grounds for legal action, like my example that I gave you, then ignore it. Just ignore it and leave it alone. Like, I deal with people putting up opinion videos about me all the time. Oh man, there's all kinds of people who talk about what an asshole I am, and, you know, how negative I am, and what an idiot I am, and this and that. You can speak all the opinions that you want. Just ignore that shit. But, you know, if you start making false claims about me and like spreading serious lies about me like that, then I'll see you in court. and I'm going to sue you under my business name, But anyway, though, yeah, that's my 2 cents. My heart goes out to both of them, but I'm not picking a side for either one. My heart goes out to both of their families. There's 2 families who lost their father. One family lost their mother and their father. And yeah, so that's my 2 cents. So hopefully, if you're an aspiring content creator, you can take a lesson from this. Okay. Anyway, that's all I got on the situation. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here now. Stay blessed.